Here we are in the dark, getting ready to study value, shading, light, dark. So what I have is a ball, and it's sitting on a table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shine the light, and as you see the light coming up, all of a sudden you can see where the shadow moves when the light moves. Okay, so what we have here is now we have the shadow down here, and so depending on where your light source is where the shadow goes. Now in art class, what we want to look at in the first assignment is 5 sections. Okay, so we have the top section, which is where the light hits, the reflect, it's almost white. Then we have a lighter, then we have a little bit darker, and then we have a little bit darker. So it breaks down into 4 sections plus a shadow, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the shadow is 5. So we're going to take that concept, build on it, and have a ball. Get it? Okay, so today we're going to look at the element of art, value. Value, I'm including this wonderful handout that on Google Classroom that I found on the internet, but we're going to replicate that in our sketchbooks that we have. So the first thing we need to do is find a straight edge, and I am so lazy sometimes. I am going to use this because it's about the same width as that, and I want to draw those 2 boxes. I also went down to the kitchen and found different size circles that I can use to draw the other shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in my sketchbook, and you go ahead and look on the internet, get your sketchbook, and go ahead and replicate this in your book, and then when we get back together in a minute, we'll be able to work on actually filling this in. Okay, so I have gotten mine completed on here. I outlined everything in Sharpie except this last ball down here. This one down here, I want to let the shading complete the form and not my pencil line. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to take our value from lightest to darkest, and that is what value is. It's a range of light to dark. So we're going to start with white and end up to the darkest that we can with our pencil. And then we're going to take these numbers and fill them in the correct place on the ball. Now, I don't believe that a mechanical pencil works extremely well for this, but if that's what you have, fine. If not, if you can find a number 2 pencil, go ahead and work on getting this part done. Then let's come back together and make sure that we're in agreement with those shades, and then we'll come and fill the ball in. Leave the bottom half alone for right now. All right, there we go. So what I've done is I had to use a black colored pencil. It's what I could find. And I went from dark all the way down to the absence of color. So white being the absence of color, all the way up to the darkest I could get with this. I actually started here and got it as dark as I could, and then I went backwards. That was much easier for me than going forwards. All right, so the next thing I need to do is I need to take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and fill them in down here on this first shape. So let's go ahead and do that, and then when we come back, we'll see what we're going to do on the bottom. Okay, so I have taken my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, and I have filled them in on my sphere, which is a circle made into a shape. Adding the shading and the value like that really does take it from flat to almost 3-dimensional. So in the bottom section, I did outline the scale, but I did not outline the ball. We're going to see what happens by doing this. I want you to pick one colored pencil. Markers, not going to work with this because it's very difficult to get a value of shade using a marker. So colored pencil, and please don't choose something really light like a yellow or even maybe an orange. Stick with something like red, blue, purple, maybe even a green. But stick to those darker colored pencil tones, colors, and then let's go ahead and work this in, and then we'll come back and do this. So let's take a look at this using a colored pencil. Same thing up here, lightest to darkest, and stop there, and then we'll come back and do the sphere on the bottom. So I have filled in, I used violet purple, and I went from white all the way to the darkest. And there's not a whole, you can't see a whole lot of difference on 2 and 3, but there is. So now instead of writing the numbers in here, and I tried to draw lightly, I may even erase as I go. I haven't decided yet, this is just practice. But I do know that I'm gonna, and oh, by the way, this time I colored the whole thing, this value. And then a little bit heavier, and way heavy. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do number 5 in the shadow. I just remember up here where number 5 was. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that down here and fill it in. Not bad. Not bad at all. So finish that up, and then we're going to talk about the different lessons for the different grade levels. Grade 6, we're going to do bouncing balls. So finish this, and then we're going to come back and do some bouncing balls with lights coming from different areas on the page, and we're going to see how that works out. So we're going to try something different. What I've done is I've taken my cheese container from the middle school, and I drew 5 circles on there. I didn't do them specifically like dice, but I wanted 5 circles. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the lesson that we just did, this part right here, minus the shadow. So what I did is I added another section down here for 5. Let me show you what I mean. There's section 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I left a tiny sliver, and I'll erase that in a minute, for 5. So I'm going to number mine just for this. Okay? Then I'm going to rotate my paper, and I'm going to choose another one to do. Doesn't matter which one. But for sake of going in order, I'll do this one. And I'm going to do it just like this again. Okay? So here is my 1. 4 and 5. Some of these edges are a little rough. That is okay. It doesn't really matter which way I turn my paper to work, but it turns out that it ended right back up like the first one I did. So you're going to take your scale that you did, and yours, of course, you have one in color. And you can use any colors you want to. I would use 5 different colors. Try it out, different colors, see how it works. I even went back and drew cheesy little light bulbs in there so I could remember where the light was coming from. So on this one, I don't have to draw light bulbs unless I want to, but I know that the light is coming wherever that little number 1 is. So we're going to color each one of these according to our value scale for shading. and we're going to see how this works out. Welcome to your value and shading project. Okay, so here are my 5 balls, and I am going to come back and I will put that on the assignment when I practice turning my assignments in. But I did my 5 down to white. I think I need a little bit more work on that, but I think this is a great start. So 5 different circles, rotating each time you put your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in there, and I think this has been a great lesson. So feel free to take this and create a project out of this. But this is it for the value. I think that is a lot of work. That's like doing 5 little pieces right there, including the notes that we did at the very beginning. Okay, so going back now that I've finished and adding in some more shadows, and I was able to erase, because I did the whole thing in a circular motion, and that kept me from having those line marks. So anyway, I went back and tidied that up. I think that looks much better. So that's it for this lesson, and we will be moving on to the next one very soon.